Force damage. The almost unresisted damage. The only creature who is immune to force damage is the Helmed Horror. One of the reasons why the thing is such a menace. Force damage is described as compressed magical energy, which is different from bludgeoning and thunder, where it's actual physical contact in the case of bludgeoning, or concussive blasts and sonic waves, and such in the case of thunder damage. Force has no equal in the real world. Its effects can basically ignore the physical world almost because it's exclusively magic and physics in general, treating energy like matter in the case of Force Cage and Wall of Force. And then, of course, you can create objects out of pure force in the case of Spiritual Weapon and Mordenkainen's sword, though we never talk about Mordenkainen's sword. Just let it die. Blade of Disaster has one of my favorite flavor of all the spells, and it really shows you the cool stuff you can do with Force. You form a blade-shaped planar rift about 3 feet wide. And this blade that you create can also pass harmlessly through any barrier, like Wall of Force. Kind of shows how Force can ignore the rules of the physical world and even be the only thing that can bypass things made exclusively of that force energy. Again, related to that sort of manipulation and breaking rules, and as well as controlling, you have manipulation of physics in the case of many Dunamancy spells. There's a lot of ways to flavor it, and a lot of ways that it appears, like otherworldly blast, like Eldritch Blast, or more telekinetic type force with in some other cases. I'll often take force damage when I turn a 3-0 and then try to shunt back into the material plane, but they get stuck in a wall or get teleported into that space. It shows that in some cases force damage can be a bit of a catch-all, but a lot of times it does still maintain that flavor. Spells that deal force damage include Bigby's Hand, Banishing Smite, Blade of Disaster, Chaos Bolt, Dark Star, Disintegrate, Eldritch Blast, Gravity Fissure, Jim's Magic Missile, Magnify Gravity, Mordenkainen's Sword, Pulse Wave, Ravenous Void, Spiritual Weapon, Steel Wind Strike, Sword Burst, and Zephyr Strike. Force damage is rare when used by enemies. It's often like arcane enemies using like through blasts and spells mainly. And often ghost damage can inflict force damage again when they pass through enemies because they're kind of shunted around. Now, smite effects like Banishing Smite, Eldritch Smite, the Battlesmith Smite, and, well, it's not really smite, but basically, and, raw strikes like Steel Wind Strike are all force damage, which kind of shows it's using like raw magic to enhance the attack. The Artillerist Artificer's blasts and explosions are all force. The Arcane Archer's magic attacks are sometimes force as well. The Psy Warrior also deals force damage. The War Magic Wizard and the Horizon Walker, who can make their attacks force. You can imagine force damage as sort of a repulsion effect, like magnets pushing against each other. This sort of unseen force, kind of, again, like gravity and magnetism and electromagnetic forces and sort of, all those, the physics and all that good stuff, it sort of shows this. It's kind of another unseen force. I think magic is, you can almost consider magic like another one of those fundamental forces within this universe. But again, take it where you want to. It could be like Cyclops Beam in X-Men, but I can also see that being argued as radiant because like you have blasters as radiant damage as well. So it's really your call in that regard.